Good afternoon, Sam Zeskind of Oyster Rhoda for the defendant, City of Homestead.
Dr. James Eric McDonough, the pro se plaintiff.
I'm Grant Stern. I'm a journalist. I'm just observing.
Okay. You're expecting anybody else, or are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Mr. Taylor, I put in a request to Mrs. Singler about recording, but I didn't get a final response about recording the meeting. I put in a formal request.
Okay. All right. Let's see what the judge says. Okay, Judge will be with you in a minute.
Oh, I'm here. Good morning. I don't have a problem with Mr. Stern.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. I read your motion, and I read the. One of you has to. You got to mute yourselves. You're not going to speak. Okay. I read your motions. I read your response. Give me your arguments. If you have anything other than what you put in the motion, or in the arguments, or in the reply, in the response. I'm sorry.
Okay. I think that my arguments in the motion and my reply are pretty clear. Unless you want me to clarify any specific topics or facts, then I feel good about what I filed.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
You're talking about the depot of Miss Suleman? Is that what? That's her name, right?
Miss Sewell. Elizabeth
Oh,
Sewell.
Miss Sewell. Okay. And did you complete that deposition?
I couldn't get a lot of my questions answered because Mr. Zeskind made speaking objections and instructed the.
I read. That's why I'm asking you. Did you complete that deposition?
No, sir.
Yes or no? Okay. Mr. Zeskind, you want to respond to that? Did he in your opinion, did he complete his deposition?
I believe he did, Your Honor. I think he concluded the deposition saying that was all that he had for the witness.
I also read the depo that he certified a certain amount of questions, and I think we took some of those. Do we take some of those up yet or not?
We haven't addressed those. This is the first time we've addressed these.
Okay, so is that correct? Because I know the last order I entered, I basically gave Mr. McDonald an opportunity to depose Ms. Sewell with relevant information, with relevant questions pertaining to this case, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, Your Honor. And the majority of the objections that are raised in the motion were based on questioning going outside the scope of the request that are at issue in this.
The reason why I'm asking is if I'm going to give if I give Mr. McDonough an opportunity, if I rule in his favor at some point, and give an opportunity to have the deposition taken again, or at least part of it, I got to do it with somebody in the room. I'm not going to just let you all sit by yourselves. It's either going to be a special master, or me, or well, those are the only options.
I requested a special master and the city pay the cost, Your Honor, but if you would like to sit in, that would be fine with me as well.
Oh no, I'd rather have a special master. I got cases to try and other hearings to conduct. So, but the problem with a special master is that it costs money, because our special master is not going to sit through the depot. She's got other issues that she needs to take care of. So it would have to be a special magistrate that will cost the parties money. That's my only reservation. And the cost would be split 50-50. That's what the rules say.
Your Honor, can I address the question of even reopening her deposition?
I'm trying to get ahead of the game here. I'm not saying you're right. I'm not saying he's right. I'm just saying in the event of. Okay. In the event of. Okay.
I would ask as part of the sanctions that the city would be forced to pay the cost. If I have to pay 50% of the cost, I expect that to be reimbursed when I win the case. So it's fine with me, Your Honor.
Okay. That's really, I'm more concerned about you than I'm concerned about the city in that respect. Now, if you, this, like I said, I've read your motion, I read your reply. Replies are usually just a reiteration of the motions. Mr. Siskin, is there anything you want to say? Because I'm going to, as I do in not in cases that are, in my opinion, sensitive and important, I reserve ruling and make sure I got my I's dotted and my T's crossed as much as I can. So, is there anything you want to say, Mr. Siskin?
Sure, Your Honor.
Go ahead and say it because I'm going to say something else.
What I was going to say is that I think we've laid out in our response why plaintiff is not entitled to any of the relief he seeks in his motion, whether it be striking the pleadings, reopening the deposition, or any of the other bar-related or ethics-related relief he seeks. I want to just point out on the record, because it was raised in the reply, and I know that plaintiff even went so far as to submit a proposed order to the court.
That's all right.
That the city has not conceded any of the points, and I think our response lays out why plaintiff is not entitled to any of the relief, not just the sanctions in terms of striking the pleading.
Mr. McDonald, I haven't made up my mind one way or the other, but my inclination would not be to dismiss the case based on fraud upon the court. That's a heightened standard, which I don't think you've met by reading your motion. I'm not inclined to strike the pleadings again, because actually you need a case. The name of the case slips my mind. I've done about 40 hearings this morning, so
that's fine, Your Honor.
A Compel hearing. You need a Compel hearing for that, which is not this one. But I'm not inclined to do that either.
If I could, real quick, just to clarify, Your Honor.
Sure. Sure.
I wrote that because the case law I read, I believe, says that is a sanction, the harshest sanction that could be applied.
Correct.
And that you have absolute discretion whether you take that harsh of a penalty or not. I was
Correct,
just based on what I read in the law. And
I understand you're not a lawyer, and I understand that the case law requires for me to strike pleadings or dismiss cases to actually hold a Compel here, which I believe Mr. Setkan actually puts in he's correct in his response. But so I'm not inclined to do either one of those two. I'm inclined to do other things, but we're not there yet. So I'm going to take this under advisement, and I'm going to send you an order. I'm more inclined to allow you to do what I suggested at the beginning of this session, but we're not there yet. I have to work through it. Yes.
Can I address just quickly one additional point in terms of the reopening of Ms. Sewell's deposition, and then I understand Your Honor's read and you'll reserve and rule. As we've laid out in our response, we don't think there's really any factual issues that need to be resolved here. And in terms of if there's discovery that plaintiff feels that he needs, which I'm not sure what that would necessarily be, but he's not even availed himself yet of sending some targeted interrogatories to the city on specific points if he's missing something. I think going to the reopening Ms. Sewell's deposition, when I should add, because this is not in our response, since we filed that response, Ms. Sewell was actually noticed for deposition in another case between the parties, and plaintiff failed to show up to take her deposition. So I think that there's other avenues that can be pursued before you even take the step of reopening a deposition that's already been.
I understand your concern, and I understand Dr. McDonald's concern. Dr. McDonald, even though the case law says I have to treat pro se defendants or plaintiffs as if they were counsel, and you've done a pretty good job of that yourself. But it's still within my discretion to give you some sort of leeway to deal with that. But I have to, as far as when the rules come to play, I'm going to treat you as if you were an attorney. In this case law to that effect. Sometimes it's harsh, sometimes it's not. So I try to give the pro se defendants and plaintiffs a little more leeway, unless the rules require me to actually treat them as lawyer. So I've been doing that. I do that with everybody. So it's not just you. It's you. But you're better versed in the law than most pro se individuals. So, and actually, the proposed order, to tell you the truth, if I would not grant that whole thing, even if I were to grant it. There's some things in there that are not suitable for granting.
Understood, Your Honor.
So, just by looking at it. So
And I
what am I?
appreciate you sticking to the rules, and I do my best to try to follow
No,
the rules to the best of my ability.
and I think you do a better job than most, and not much better. And I have to say that because it's true. Uh, you should consider going to law school. Never know. Uh, but so I'm going to reserve ruling on this issue. But I'm telling you right now, dismissal for fraud upon the court wasn't really pled outright. It really was not, and or dismissal or striking of the pleadings. That's just not in the cards for the most part. Everything else, I'll take it into consideration, and I'll send you an order. But like I said, I'm more inclined. I know, Mr. Siskin, you don't want me to do this, but I'm more inclined to actually have somebody sit in the room with you, maybe allow him to go back and ask relevant questions, and have the magistrate stop him because somebody will be physically present and be able to control it. I'm not saying you do. I'm just saying no speaking objections, no instructions not to answer unless it's appropriate. Any of those things that under the rules that should not happen one way or the other, or any questions that may be unwarranted concerning other issues or a fishing expedition or whatever. So let me take into consideration. You always receive an order from me when I do that. I want to make sure you both sides get a fair shot. I try to do my best. I'm not always successful, but at least I give it a try. And you can accuse me of many things, but you can't accuse me of two things. You can't accuse me of not being able to rule. You can't accuse me of being not fair and impartial. So, unless you have anything else to say, I will conclude this hearing, and you'll receive an order from me.
Thank you so much for your time, Your Honor. You have a great weekend.
It's your time, gentlemen. It's your time. Have a good weekend. Happy Father's Day to fathers.
You as well.